"This shows you're not committed to our team," Lawrence said, leaning back in his chair like he was doing me a favor by firing me. "My name is Jared Monroe. I'd spent the last 4 years of my life bringing in millions for Drayfield Robotics while my bank account stayed pretty much the same. 29 years old and still shopping the clearance racks. Still driving the same 10-year-old Honda my parents helped me buy in college." I sat there looking at Lawrence Bennett, our vice president of sales, with his custom suit and the kind of tan you don't get in Raleigh, North Carolina in March. The kind you get from business trips to Miami in the dead of winter. He was staring at me, waiting for me to beg or explain or make a scene. "I understand," I said. His eyebrows twitched. Not the reaction he expected. "You're terminated effective immediately. I need you to clean out your desk. April will escort you to HR for your exit paperwork." I nodded, stood up, and reached across his massive oak desk to shake his hand. He hesitated before taking it. "Thank you for the opportunity," I said. The walk back to my desk was quiet. Everyone pretending to be busy. Everyone stealing glances. News travels fast in an open office. I could feel their eyes following me as I pulled a cardboard box from the supply room. I didn't have much to pack. A coffee mug my sister bought me. A few pens that actually worked. The small cactus I'd somehow kept alive under fluorescent lighting for 3 years. 4 years at this company and everything I had fit in a box smaller than a microwave. April hovered nearby, keys jangling in her hand, watching me like I might steal the stapler or set fire to my desk on the way out. I'd brought in over $2 million in new business last quarter alone. $2 million. And they thought I might steal a stapler. As I walked toward the elevator, Tyler stepped out of his office. Tyler Davis, my direct supervisor. The man who'd taken credit for half my deals. The man who'd assured me 3 separate times that my raise was in process and just needs Lawrence's approval. He didn't make eye contact. "Be sure to turn in your badge at security," he mumbled, then disappeared back into his office. I stepped into the elevator, badge already in my hand. As the doors closed, I caught a reflection of myself in the polished metal. I didn't look fired, I didn't look angry. I looked lighter, like I'd set down something heavy. I just didn't know it yet. I started at Drayfield straight out of college. Business degree from state, decent GPA, nothing special except I could talk to people. Really talk to them. Figure out what they needed and find a way to give it to them. My father always told me, a good salesman sells products. A great salesman solves problems. Dad had spent 30 years in the trenches of pharmaceutical sales, missed more than a few baseball games but made sure we never worried about money. When I landed the Drayfield job, he was proud, said it was a solid company with room to grow. For the first 2 years I believed it, worked 60-hour weeks, learned everything there was to know about industrial automation, built relationships with manufacturing clients across the Southeast, won Rookie of the Year, and then top performer the following year. I believed I was building something. Then I watched Tyler get promoted over me despite my numbers being double his. He has more management experience, they said. Then I watched him get credit for the Westbrook deal, a client I'd spent 6 months cultivating. Then I watched him get a company car. Small things at first. Meeting invites that somehow missed my inbox. Client information that reached me a day late. Comments in meetings like, "Are you sure that's the right approach for this client?" Little cuts day after day. I kept my head down and kept working, kept delivering. Until last month, when I closed the Abbott manufacturing deal. $2 million, our biggest contract of the year. I'd flown to Chicago 3 times on my own dime because the company couldn't justify the expense. I'd worked weekends, missed my cousin's wedding, made it happen. When the contract came through, Lawrence took the team out for drinks. Everyone except me. I found out from Instagram posts the next day. When I finally got up the nerve to ask about a raise, my 3rd attempt, Lawrence told me the timing wasn't right. The company was restructuring compensation packages. That night, I updated my resume for the first time in 4 years. A week later, Vanessa Mills, a former Drayfield client who'd moved to Revelin Publishing, reached out on LinkedIn. "We should catch up," she wrote. We had coffee. She mentioned they were looking for someone to head up their new business development division, someone with technical sales experience, someone like me. I took one vacation day, one day I'd earned, for an interview. Someone saw me in the lobby of the Revelin building and told Tyler. That was yesterday. I sat in my car in the Drayfield parking lot for almost an hour after security took my badge, just sitting there, air conditioning running, looking at the building where I'd spent 4 years of my life. 4 years of early mornings and late nights. 4 years of we'll take care of you, and you're part of the family, and just hang in there. My phone buzzed. A text from Tyler. Sorry about how things went down. Just following protocol. I turned off my phone without responding and drove home. My apartment felt different when I walked in. Emptier somehow, even though nothing had changed. I dropped my box on the kitchen counter and opened a beer. Then I sat on my couch and did something I hadn't done in years. Absolutely nothing. No emails, no calls, no proposals to review. I just sat there, drinking my beer, watching the afternoon light move across my living room wall. Around 7, I turned my phone back on. 3 missed calls from my parents. A text from my sister asking if I was okay. Apparently Tyler had called her looking for me, which was a boundary I didn't even know could be crossed. And an email from Vanessa at Revelin. Can you come in tomorrow? 10 a.m.? The team would like to meet you. I responded with one word. Yes. Then I called my parents. They did you a favor, my father said after I explained what happened. Not what I expected him to say. How's that? They showed you exactly who they are, son. No more illusions, no more maybes. Now you know. He was right. All those times I'd given them the benefit of the doubt. All those times I'd blamed myself for not working hard enough, not being visible enough, not playing the game well enough. All those times I'd swallowed my pride and kept pushing forward because I thought loyalty meant something. It didn't. Not to them. I'd been fired for taking one day, a day I'd earned, to look for what they would never give me. Fair compensation, respect, a future. My mother got on the phone. What do you need, honey? Want us to come down this weekend? No, I said, suddenly clear. I'm okay, actually. I think this might be the best thing that could have happened. And I meant it. For the first time in a long while, I felt something other than tired, something other than that low-grade anxiety that had become my constant companion. I felt free. That night, I slept better than I had in months. In the morning, I put on my best suit, the one I'd bought for important client meetings that Lawrence always managed to attend instead of me. I looked good, rested, ready. The interview at Revelin went better than I could have hoped. They'd already checked my references, already talked to 3 of my former clients, including Abbott Manufacturing. They knew exactly what I was worth. They offered me the position on the spot, Regional Director of Business Development, double my Drayfield salary plus commission. I accepted without hesitation. When can you start? Vanessa asked. I smiled. Immediately. I signed the contract with Revelin on Friday afternoon, started the following Monday. They gave me an office with a door and a window, a company credit card, a team of 3 sales associates, and most importantly, they gave me something Drayfield never had, a clear path forward. We want you to grow this division, Vanessa explained. Build it from the ground up. Your reputation with clients is why we hired you. For the first 2 weeks, everything was perfect. I learned the systems, met the team, started building a strategy. I even sent LinkedIn connection requests to my former colleagues at Drayfield. Most accepted. A few sent congratulatory messages. Tyler and Lawrence didn't respond. I didn't care. I was too busy feeling like I was finally where I belonged. Then the cease and desist letter arrived. Mr. Monroe is in violation of his non-compete agreement, it read. He is hereby ordered to terminate his employment with Revelin Publishing immediately or face legal action. I'd never signed a non-compete. I was certain of it. I called Revelin's legal department in a panic. Don't worry, the attorney said. Send me all your onboarding paperwork from Drayfield. We'll handle this. I went home that night and dug through my files, found my original offer letter, my employment agreement, my most recent performance review. Nothing about a non-compete. Nothing about restrictions on future employment. The next day, Dreyfield's attorneys sent over a document with my signature on it. A non-compete agreement dated 3 years ago, right after my Rookie of the Year award. It restricted me from working for any competitor within 100 miles for 1 year after leaving Dreyfield. But I hadn't signed it. The signature looked like mine, but I had no memory of ever seeing this document. Did you ever sign anything during a performance review? Maybe something they told you was routine? Rovland's attorney asked. I thought back. 3 years ago. My first performance review after the award. Lawrence had given me a stack of papers. Just standard paperwork updates, he'd said. Sign at the flags. I'd trusted him. They're claiming Revelin is a direct competitor, the attorney continued, which is a stretch since you sell publishing equipment and they sell industrial automation. But they're pressing hard. This could get expensive. Will I lose my job? I asked, the familiar knot of anxiety returning to my stomach. Not if I can help it. But be prepared. They might try to drag your reputation through the mud. This feels personal. It was personal. The next day, I received an email from one of my biggest former clients at Dreyfield. Just had a strange call from your old boss, it read. He implied you took proprietary client information when you left. Wanted to know if you'd contacted me. I told him you'd always conducted yourself with integrity. What's going on? I forwarded the email to our legal team, my hands shaking with anger. They weren't just trying to stop me from working. They were trying to destroy my reputation, the very thing that had made me valuable despite their own efforts to minimize me. That evening, my phone rang. A number I didn't recognize. Jared, this is Jessica from accounting at Dreyfield. Her voice was hushed, nervous. I'm not supposed to be calling you, but you were always decent to me. You need to know something. They're saying you stole client files, but it's not true. I saw Lawrence in the server room the day after you left. He was downloading your entire client folder. Then he deleted the original files and told IT you must have taken them. Would you be willing to tell that to my attorney? I asked. I can't, she said. I need this job. I just thought you should know what you're up against. She hung up before I could thank her. I sat in my new office, staring out the window at the Raleigh skyline, and realized this wasn't going to be as simple as walking away. They weren't going to let me succeed. They were going to try to drag me back down. And for the first time since I'd been fired, I was genuinely angry. The legal battle dragged on for weeks. Revelin stood by me, but the stress was taking its toll. Every day brought a new accusation from Dreyfield. Client theft, corporate espionage, breach of contract. It was like they were throwing everything at the wall to see what would stick. We need to find leverage, my attorney said. Right now it's your word against theirs about the non-compete, and even though we think it's forged, it'll be expensive to prove. I nodded, thinking about what Jessica had told me about the client files, about Lawrence in the server room. There was a pattern here, a willingness to lie, to manipulate, to create false evidence. What about my commission payments? I asked suddenly. The last quarter I was there, I brought in the Abbott deal, $2 million. My commission should have been substantial, but my final paycheck was normal. No bonus, no commission. The attorney made a note. Good. That's something concrete we can look into. That evening I received a text from Tyler. We should talk, not about the legal stuff. It's important. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet him at a coffee shop halfway between our offices. He looked terrible. Dark circles under his eyes, rumpled shirt, none of his usual polished appearance. I can't be tied to this conversation, he said as soon as he sat down. I could lose everything. I just waited. The non-compete. It's not just you. Lawrence has been doing this for years. Gets people to sign routine paperwork during reviews, then adds pages later. The signatures are real, but the documents aren't what people signed. Why are you telling me this? He looked down at his coffee. Because you're not the first person they've done this to. But you're the first one who fought back, and they're scared. Why would they be scared of me? I just want to do my job. Tyler leaned forward. It's not about you. It's about the money. The commission structure at Drayfield isn't what anyone thinks it is. The percentages in our contracts, they're not real. Lawrence has been skimming from every major deal for years. That's why they're coming after you so hard. They're afraid you'll figure it out. My mind raced back to all those deals, all that money, the commissions that never seemed to match what I'd calculated, the bonuses that were always less than promised because of adjustments and overhead allocations that were never clearly explained. How do you know this? I asked. I found the real books, by accident. I was looking for a client file on Lawrence's computer when he stepped out of a meeting. His spreadsheets were open. 2 sets of commission calculations, the real ones and the ones actually paid out. The difference went into an account labeled Executive Performance Fund. "Bunkton, you didn't say anything?" Tyler's face flushed. I confronted him. He offered me a cut, said it was standard practice, that the senior team had always done it this way, said I'd earned my place at the table. "So you took it?" He didn't deny it. "I have a mortgage, kids in private school." I told myself it was just how business worked. "Why tell me now?" "Because they're not just coming after you. They're setting you up. Lawrence told the board you manipulated the Abbott contract numbers, that you inflated the deal to get a bigger commission. That's why they're saying you stole files, to cover up the fraud they're pinning on you." I felt cold all over. But that's completely false. Abbott can verify the contract value. They've already started creating a paper trail, backdated emails, revised contracts. They're thorough, Jared, and they have resources. I studied Tyler's face, looking for deception. "Why should I believe you? You've never been on my side before." He pulled out his phone. "Because I kept receipts." He showed me a series of screenshots, commission spreadsheets, email exchanges, bank transfers, all proving exactly what he'd described. "Send those to me," I said. "If I do, I'm finished at Drayfield, probably in this industry." "You already are," I replied. "The only question is whether you go down with them or help me expose this." Tyler stared at me for a long moment, then began forwarding the emails. The evidence Tyler provided changed everything. Not just for my case, but potentially for dozens of former and current Drayfield employees who'd been cheated out of their rightful commissions. The scheme had been running for years, affecting potentially millions in compensation. "This is much bigger than a non-compete dispute," my attorney said when I showed her Tyler's documents. "This is systematic fraud." But we had a problem. Tyler wasn't willing to go on record. The screenshots and forwarded emails would be considered hearsay without his testimony. And Drayfield had deep pockets for legal battles. They could tie this up in court for years. "We need more," she said. "We need someone with direct knowledge who's willing to testify." I thought about Jessica from accounting, but she was too scared of losing her job. I needed someone who had nothing to lose, or better yet, someone who had already lost. That night I made a list of everyone who had left Drayfield in the past 2 years. People who had quit suddenly or been fired under suspicious circumstances. People who, like me, might have started asking questions about their commissions. One name stood out: Kevin Blackwell, former top performer in the Eastern region. Abruptly, resigned last year amid rumors of drinking problems. I'd never believed those rumors. Kevin was a family man, a deacon at his church, and one of the most straight-laced guys I knew. I found him on LinkedIn. He was working for a small company now, making significantly less than he would have at Drayfield. I sent him a message. "Need to talk about Lawrence Bennett and commissions at Drayfield, it's important." He responded within minutes. "I've been waiting for this call." We met the next day. Kevin didn't look like a man with drinking problems. He looked like a man who'd been carrying a heavy burden. "They fired me because I found the spreadsheets," he said without preamble. "Same ones Tyler showed you. But I went further. I documented everything, tracked the money. It wasn't just commissions. It was expense account fraud, kickbacks from vendors, inflated project costs. Lawrence and the CFO had a whole system." "Do you have proof?" Kevin nodded. "I have everything. Bank records, emails, the works. I was building a case to take to the board when Lawrence found out. Next thing I knew, there were rumors about my drinking problem. Then a client complained about me showing up to a meeting intoxicated, a meeting I never even attended. 2 weeks later, I was out. Why didn't you fight back? Go to the authorities? They threatened my family, Jared. His voice was steady, but his hands trembled slightly. Nothing direct, just a conversation about how my wife's nursing job at Memorial Hospital might be in jeopardy if I made trouble. How my kids might not be welcome back at their school. They have connections. They made that very clear. I felt sick. But you kept the evidence? Every bit of it. On an encrypted drive off-site. I've been waiting for someone else to notice. Someone they couldn't threaten the same way. Someone like me? I said. Kevin nodded. You don't have a family they can threaten. You've already been fired, and most importantly, you've got Revelin behind you. They have resources too. We spent the next 3 hours going through Kevin's evidence. It was damning, not just for Lawrence and Tyler, but for half the executive team at Drayfield. They'd been systematically defrauding their own sales force of millions in commissions over at least 5 years. We need to take this to the authorities, I said. This is criminal. I'm ready, Kevin replied. But we need to be smart. These people won't go down without a fight. That night I called Vanessa and explained everything. This could get messy, I warned. I understand if Revelin wants to distance themselves. Her response surprised me. Distance ourselves? Jared, we hired you because of your integrity. We're not just going to support you, we're going to help you end this. Drayfield has been operating unethically for years, hurting the whole industry. It's time someone stood up to them. For the first time since this began, I felt like I might actually win. The case broke wide open faster than anyone expected. With Kevin's evidence and Revelin's legal resources, we didn't just file a countersuit against Drayfield. We took everything to the Securities and Exchange Commission and the State Attorney General's office. The investigation moved quickly. Bank records were subpoenaed. Witnesses were deposed. Former employees came forward with their own stories of manipulation and fraud. 3 weeks after our initial filing, federal agents walked into Drayfield's headquarters with warrants. I wasn't there to see it, but Tyler called me that evening. They took everything, he said, his voice hollow. Computers, servers, files. Lawrence was escorted out in front of everyone, the CFO too. I said nothing. I've been suspended pending investigation, he continued. They're saying I could face criminal charges. You probably will, I replied, but your cooperation will count for something. A week later, Drayfield dropped their lawsuit against me. 2 days after that, their stock plummeted when news of the fraud investigation hit the business press. Former employees began filing a class action lawsuit for unpaid commissions. Clients started jumping ship, unwilling to be associated with the scandal. Through it all, I kept my head down and focused on building my division at Revelin. I didn't give interviews. I didn't gloat on social media. I just did my job. Then one morning, I received an email from Lawrence's personal account. We should talk. I can explain everything. Meet me for lunch? I forwarded the email to my attorney without responding. The next day, the Business Journal published a story. Drayfield Robotics CEO and executive team stepped down amid fraud allegations. There was Lawrence's photo, next to a quote from the board chairman. We are cooperating fully with authorities and are committed to making this right. I closed the browser tab and went back to work. 3 months to the day after I was fired, the court ordered Drayfield to pay me $147,000 in back commissions, plus damages. The check arrived by courier the following week. I didn't cash it immediately. I just set it on my desk and looked at it. Not because I needed the validation, but because I wanted to remember what it had cost to get here. The truth. 1 year later, I stood in front of the Revelin sales team, presenting our quarterly results. We doubled our division's revenue, expanded into 2 new markets, built a reputation for honesty and transparency with our commission structure that was attracting top talent from across the industry. including 3 former Drayfield employees who'd been part of the class action settlement. The news about Drayfield had faded from the headlines. Lawrence and the CFO had taken plea deals. Tyler had avoided jail time by cooperating with prosecutors, but his career in sales was effectively over. The company itself had been acquired by a competitor at a fraction of its former value. I rarely thought about any of them anymore. After the meeting, Vanessa pulled me aside. "Board approved your promotion to vice president, effective next month." I thanked her, genuinely grateful but not surprised. We'd built something real here, something that worked. That evening I drove to my parents' house for dinner. They'd moved to Raleigh 6 months ago, partly to be closer to me, partly because my father was finally ready to retire. He'd followed the Drayfield story closely, more invested in my vindication than I was sometimes. "Proud of you, son," he said as we sat on his back porch after dinner. "Not because you won, but because you did it right. Didn't let them make you bitter, didn't let them change who you are." I nodded, watching the sunset through the trees. It was never about getting back at them. "I know," he said. "It was about the truth." We sat in comfortable silence for a while. "So," he finally said with a smile, "Vice President, huh? Does this mean you're finally going to buy a new car?" I laughed. "Maybe, but I think I'll keep the Honda a little longer. It reminds me of something important." "What's that?" "That the fastest way up isn't cutting corners. It's building something that lasts." My father raised his glass. "I'll drink to that." So did I.